May 2026 is an important month, but for a reason that I don't hear being talked about. Yes, there are some really powerful astrology transits that are happening this month, but there's a shift happening in human design that we have to talk about. And it's especially significant because it's not just about May. It's actually giving us a taste of what's to come in 2027 when we have a global frequency shift after 400 years. April felt intense, like something needed to move. May is going to finally show us where. We'll talk about the astrology, the human design. I'll do some tarot. We'll talk about the somatics. But first, I have a question for you. What was your April like? What was easy? What was hard? What did you learn? So often we have this impulse to move to the next thing, what's coming next. And in that process, we lose a lot of not just the present moment, but also the wisdom of the past. Maybe even going back and watching an April video like mine or anyone else's. And then we'll get into May. May starts off with a bang. May starts off with a excavation of what your body has been holding with the full moon in Scorpio. Now, I already made a video about this full moon in Scorpio, so I'm not really going to go deep into it today. But it is definitely asking you to clear something, to release something, to face some emotional truths that may feel difficult, but it's a necessary process because much of May is about expression. It's about making your body safe enough that it can express an authentic truth, an authentic voice that has been hidden under pain, that has been hidden under conditioning. And this Scorpio energy right off the bat is really pushing you to look at that in a really deep way. So there is an excavation process happening at the very beginning of this month so that you can release your truth, releasing the control structures that have kept you safe and small, safe and silent. Much of May is in Taurus and Gemini. So we've got a lot of planets and placements going through there. And Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the thyroid. And Gemini rules breathing. It rules the shoulders, arms, hands, the autonomic nervous system. As we first start out with May, we're going to see more and more placements in Taurus. And Taurus is a stabilizer. And we're being reminded this month, after an intense cardinal fire month in April that asked us to initiate, right? It was the somatic theme of that month was mobilization, was movement. Taurus is stabilizing. It's about staying with something, right? Now we've moved into fixed earth. Now, as the month progresses and we have more things coming into Gemini, that's a very different energy, right? It's about mutability. And it's going to be hitting Uranus. Every planet that moves into Gemini is going to be hitting Uranus, right? And Uranus is not a stabilizer. Uranus is the antithesis of a stabilizer. A stabilizer hates to see Uranus coming. That's all I'll say. But Uranus also brings authenticity. One of the things I tell my clients, students, everything is that authenticity is there. It is not something that you have to find. It's there. Your job is to make the body feel safe enough to express. Because so much of our lives, we are conditioned through other people's responses around what we should or should not express. And then what we lose is our voice, is our natural expression. And this month is about reclaiming that. In my Substack, I'm going to have a list of the sun gates that the human design journey will take us on this month. I'll also have some of the things that I'm looking at down here, which is the astrological transits of this month. So if you want that written down with the dates, it's going to be on there. That's how I've been doing these monthly things. And we can use this time to really connect into something deeper. This is going to become a theme for us collectively. We really need more connection. We really do. So expression is going to be huge, stabilizing the body in order for authentic expression to arise. We're going to see a lot of wounding come through mid-month and a lot of things being shaken up, authenticity wanting to arise by the mid to end of this month, and a voice that is breaking free in so many ways. And we're going to kind of go through how that might be showing up. And then we're going to talk about this nodal shift that's happening on May 14th. That is going to be so, so, so important for us to really get an understanding of what the next 400 years are going to be asking of us. This is huge things that are happening. Okay, I'm so excited to talk about this. So let's take a brief look at some of the sun gates that the sun will be going through in human design in the month of May. So in the very beginning of the month, we have gate 24. I talked about this briefly in the full moon in Scorpio video at the end. And then May 3rd through 9th, it goes through gate 2, which is the most receptive gate in human design. This is the gate of allowing answers to come to us, right? The feminine energies is the strongest in gate 2. Then we've got from May 9th to the 15th, gate 23. And by the way, that one's going to be really important. Gate 23 is really important. But I want you to also notice gate 23 is in the throat. And then we move to gate 8, and that is also in the throat. And gate 8 is really about creative contribution. May 20th. I'm sorry, we go into gate 20th, or gate 20 on May 21st to the 27th. That is also in the throat. And this is about the now, the present moment. This is where Uranus is right now, by the way. And then we go into, at the end of May, gate 16, which is my favorite because it's my sun gate. And this is about enthusiasm and it's about skills that we need to learn. Okay, so you'll notice also in the throat. So once again, not only are is Taurus in medical astrology associated to the throat and the neck and the thyroid, but also a lot of Taurus and Gemini is about expression, right? We've got two planets, Venus and Mercury, that are about expression. And so a lot of these gates are actually in the throat center, which is a gate or is a center of expression and manifestation in human design. So we're seeing once again, this is really about allowing our presence to come through, our expression, and having that be authentic in that given moment. This is what I love about Gemini, is that Gemini is often hated because we express truth as it is in that moment for us. And there is not a lot of things tainting our desire for that. Because if you think about Gemini and Sagittarius, and my moon is in Sag, so I've got these both. Sagittarius is often said to be the sign of truth, but Sagittarius is truth with purpose, right? Sagittarians have a North Star that they're moving toward, and truth orients around that North Star. But with Gemini, it's just truth in the now, what I'm perceiving in the now. And so that can be disloyal for some people, right? You always hear Gemini's fickle, Gemini's not loyal. Yeah, because they're perceiving the truth in the moment as it is without the idea that it needs to mean something or that it needs to have a goal. I have a lot of appreciation for the sign of Gemini, not just because my sun is there, because I used to hate being a Gemini. I wanted to be a Capricorn. I wanted to be a Scorpio. I wanted to be a hard worker and be deep and dark and, all of these things. And I didn't think that a Gemini could do that. And that's not true. But that's not what Gemini on an evolutionary basis is really here to show us. It's not here to show us the deep and the dark. So anyway, little side here. All right, so we got the full moon in Scorpio, excavation of emotional truths. Okay. This is nice to just note Venus and Gemini sextile Saturn and Aries because this is something that is supporting our expression from the background, right? The sextiles are really soft. We don't generally feel them, but it's just nice to have one or two easier aspects here. Okay. Mercury enters Taurus on the 2nd, and this is where the thinking goes into the body. This is where sensation becomes a language. Words become more deliberate, right? They become more grounded. This is where I reside here. My Mercury is in Taurus. But also Taurus is about the senses. And the language of the body is sensation. So Taurus asks us to slow things down. It asks us to stabilize things and to really look at what is necessary, right? Mercury in Taurus can often feel short, it can feel heavy. Mercury wants to be like, boo, 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 boo. And Taurus, like, dude, just sit down for a second. Listen to the noises around you. Feel the sensations in your body. Then we've got Mars square Jupiter in Cancer. So there is a tendency, this is May 4th, Mars movement, Jupiter expansion, but they're in tension with each other. And I talked about this as well with the full moon in Scorpio. Then we got Mercury squaring Pluto. This is another kind of like Mercury moves into Taurus. Taurus wants to chill, and Scorpio is like dig. There is a tension here between, what our desire to be present and to seek beauty, and Pluto saying there's something missing here. Truth can emerge here, but it can feel disruptive in a lot of ways. It can feel stressful, right? I have a Mercury Pluto opposition, but this is a square. So there's a friction that can't really be resolved, essentially. And then, as I talked about my full moon in Scorpio video, Pluto is going retrograde. There is a retrieval that needs to happen internally, something from the past. Pluto retrograde is a time of integration. All retrogrades are a time of integration of what we have learned while they've been direct. And Pluto is retrograde for, I believe, 5 months. So this is a long time. It doesn't mean you can't start anything new. It just means that the energy is inviting the past. It's inviting integration. Now, May 14th, note this. This is what you need to know. May 14th is when things start to shift. Okay. The beginning of this month feels kind of like, yeah, there's excavation. And then it's like, it's not that crazy. May 14th, we've got a Mercury Cazimi in Taurus, and we have this nodal shift. Okay. We need to talk about this nodal shift. Since December, and by the way, if you have my Thrive Through 2026 bundle that I created, I don't have it on my website, but if people are interested, actually, I'm gonna put it in the comments down below. It's going through a bunch of like personal years, rising signs, human design types, messages for all of those different parts of your design, but also some dates here about human design specifically that it's harder to find. So I actually had to go back to reference this to see. I was like, when did the nodes move here? Okay, the nodes moved into gate 37 and gate 40. They moved there in January 1st. So actually, I think it was December, but I have January 1st because it was the 2026 bundle. Until May 13th. Gate 37 and 40 are part of the cross-up planning. I recently just did a video about why self-awareness is not enough, and the part of the shift that's happening in 2027 is we're moving lines. If you haven't watched that video, definitely go watch that, because that's another thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. In the human design space, there are a lot of people talking about this shift of the global frequency from cross-up planning to sleeping phoenix, but not a lot of people talking about that aspect that I talked about there. So watch that because I talk about this more, but cross-up planning is where we've been since 1615. And in 2027, we're moving into a completely different frequency called the cross-up sleeping phoenix. 3740 and the nodes being here for the last 5 months has been bringing up a lot of those themes of the cross-up planning, which is tribe, community. This is also very emotional. So the last 5 months have been very emotional for a lot of us. We could be feeling by this point, especially, a lot of emotional exhaustion because of that. Especially if you don't naturally have your solar plexus defined in your chart and your will center, because that's where it connects. You can always get your report on my website too, or just your free chart as well on my website to know if you have this shift into then going into 55 and 59, the nodes moving into the north node moving into gate 59, 55, and the south node into 59. This is giving us a taste of the cross of sleeping phoenix, because the cross of sleeping phoenix has 4 gates associated to it: 20, 34, 55, and 59. So we're moving here, and the cross of the cross of planning, where we've been for the last 400 years, is 37, 49, and 16. So if you have this incarnation cross of planning, I do, or cross of sleeping phoenix, these themes are coming up really strongly. And on May 14th, we are going to have this shift happen. This nodal shift from in 59-55 is going to last until July 24th. From May 14th to July 24th, we are getting a taste of what is to come for the next 400 years, starting February 2027. I'm going to put something on the screen just about some of the themes of the cross of sleeping phoenix versus the cross of planning. 37 and 40 are very tribal. They're about, what does society need? What does this person need? How can I be of service? What can I do for you? What can you do for me? What are the expectations? Cross of Sleeping Phoenix, instead, is very much about me, my self-empowerment, my sense of abundance, intimacy, right? 59 is all about intimacy in the other, but it's about breaking down barriers of connection. It's a very, very different energy. I've talked about this, and I plan on making more videos about this as 2027 gets closer. So make sure you are subscribed, you have the bell notification on, like this video to let me know that you're interested about these things. Comment down below, because this is a huge shift that we're moving into, and we're going to get a taste of what that's going to feel like collectively, which means less caring about the tribe, systems and governments, things that we have that support us out in the world, the structures that support us, failing us, getting worn down, breaking, and that's going to have implications out in the world, right? I talked about this in like a recent short video that I did about food prices. And, I went, every time I go grocery shopping, there's like some things not available. Things are getting super expensive. And this is a part of this sort of shift that's happening, that is creating this breakdown of structures and systems that is a necessary part of the evolutionary shift of humanity, right? It goes beyond just me and you. So anyway, I just want to note that we're seeing a seed of this collective shift planting from May 1st to May 14th to July 24th. Notice what's happening around those 2 months in your life. How are people acting? What's happening around the world? Does it seem like it is becoming more selfish? And I want to use that word carefully, because we have a very negative connotation for selfish, which is going to have to be reckoned with. We have to reckon with what it looks like to truly love another person, and how that requires a true love of the self first. But in its distorted ways, which the outside world, the society generally distorts energy, unfortunately, we will see the negative aspects of, what does it look like to be selfish? What does it look like to only care about ourselves? I plan on talking more about this. Maybe during this time, I'll actually put out a new video about this global frequency shift. I have an old one. On May 16th, we got this new moon in Taurus and Mars conjunct Chiron. So this is the wound of initiation. And this is a turning point in the month. May 14th, May 16th, this is where things shift. I'm going to talk about this when I do my new moon in Taurus video. But one thing I want to say, the full moon in Scorpio and the beginning of May, Mercury is conjunct Chiron, the mind. We are being aware of where the wound of expression, of communication lies. Mars conjunct Chiron will bring a wounding around action. Why we don't begin, why we don't start, why we don't initiate, what has been stopping you. This is going to reveal some painful truths, right? So it's like beginning of the month. Really, this month is a very transformative month. It is. But it's going to require you to have to look at a lot of emotional truths, a lot of woundings that you might not want to look at in order to grow. But there's a real gift on the other side. Like all chironic things, the wound is the gift. Okay, let's go here. Yes, and then we've got May 17th, Mercury enters Gemini conjunct Uranus, right? That's what I was talking about. May 18th, we've got some things shifting, right? As you can see, Mercury enters Gemini, Mars enters Taurus, Venus enters Cancer. That in alone is telling us there's a shifting of energy here. And then we've got Sun entering Gemini May 21st. Sun conjunct Uranus in Gemini, right? So we've got a Uranus cazimi here. May 25th, Mars squares Pluto. Mars squares Pluto, yes. This is Mars. I want to move. And Pluto, go deeper, coming together in friction. Squares, a lot of people that I work with have a lot of oppositions. I'm a mostly oppositional baby. I don't have a ton of squares in my chart. People don't like oppositions. But I find personally that squares can feel difficult. I do think there is a resolution available with oppositions coming through the transcendent function in depth psychology. But squares don't have this resolution. They require a constant refinement through action. And that can feel, this is why this is people who have a ton of squares, they can do really big things in life because there's this constant like pressure to integrate something that doesn't feel like it can be integrated. And this, I just want to point out, is happening in fixed signs. So this is really these aspects, these signs that don't want to move, being forced into friction. So I think Mars square Pluto May 25th, personally, collectively, could be a lot of resistance, a lot of butting heads and intensity around old control structures. Okay, and then we end with the full moon in Sagittarius. May 31st, full moon in Sag at 9 degrees. And this is really what we go throughout the month gets to expand into meaning. Let's talk a little bit about the somatics of this month and what it really means to be in Taurus season. And then Gemini, yes, that's going to change things a little bit. Taurus is the stabilizer, fixed earth, feminine. It's very receptive. So doing things that allow us to move while receiving. And Taurus is really about safety, creating safety in the body. I often talk about capacity and safety. And really, this full moon in Scorpio in the beginning of the month is really stretching both of that, because capacity is about our ability to stay with intensity. Taurus gives us a safety to do that. People get a lot of things wrong about the nervous system. And I want to do a video about this because there are so many misconceptions that keep the nervous system work really shallow. And when things remain too shallow, they are a place that we can hide. They can be a place of avoidance. So it's important for us to understand, number one, who are we getting information from? Guys, Uranus and Gemini. I just did a Substack on Uranus and Gemini. Make sure you check that out. Because this month is really going to be showing us, especially as things start moving into Gemini, we're going to start seeing information is just spreading so wild. How do you know who to believe? Don't take things at face value if you don't trust the person who's speaking. Another thing I want to talk about as well really quickly is discernment. This month is about creative expression, and you're going to have to discern whose opinion of your expression matters. When I create here, but also in my life, my expression is not for everybody. The way I express is not for everybody. I ask for feedback. I care about what certain people think. And we have to be very, very discerning about who we allow to impact this. What wants to come out. And it rules the throat, but Taurus is ruled by Venus. So creative expression. So through art, through painting, through writing, through crafting, whatever that creative expression is for you, don't allow everybody to have a say. Listen, when I put myself out here, I understand that people are going to have comments and feedback. That's fine. I'm not here to control you. I'm here to control what I allow into my inner world. And this is an important part of learning to express ourselves. Not everybody's opinion gets to penetrate me. They can have it. That's fine. I'm not here to take anybody else's expression away. But I'm also not here to allow it into my inner world. And this is really where authenticity gets to feel safe to arise. Also working with the body, creating moments of safety. And right now I'm doing creative rewilding, and it's really about creating safety with action, right? How do we express and feel safe doing so, and work with the somatics, work with the resistance in the body through these and using these archetypes of astrology and human design to help guide us on that path as well. It's so amazing. And just noticing how many blocks and breakthroughs come when we include the body in this work. Yeah, we're just terrified of being seen. And what will people say? And it's not about what people say, but what you allow into your world. That's it. All right, let's do some tarot. Let's just see if there's any advice for May that wants to come through. Let's see. Five of Wands. Five of Wands, especially as an advice position, is really interesting because you often see Five of Wands and there's a bunch of people fighting each other with wands, with sticks. And people don't like this card because it's conflict. Whenever I think about this card, I think about how it's between the Four of Wands and the Six of Wands. The Four of Wands is foundation. The Six of Wands is success. And in between those things, it looks like this. It looks like pain. It looks like conflict. It looks like things arising that have to be said. Something has to be expressed to a person through art, in a conversation. In order for authenticity to arise, we need to have the courage to allow ourselves to be met with somebody else's dislike of what we express. When we feel safe in our bodies, we have more capacity to do this. To say, hey, there's something I've been needing to say to you, but this is the path to success. You have to disrupt your current structures. Old structures are falling down. Personally, collectively, are we safe enough to observe? One of the things that whenever I think of Taurus season, I think of dancing, but like slow dancing, because like listening to a song and letting the music move me, but being really conscious about how I'm moving, right? Taurus is not just, it's about slowing things down. Oftentimes we think of presence and we're like, oh, I feel really present when I'm doing this or doing that. But how present can you get? I remember my Buddhist teachers, he was telling a story about how he went to his teacher, he was doing a walking meditation, and he was like, dude, I'm just bored. I'm just bored. Like, I'm tired of this. And his teacher said, if you're bored, you're not paying enough attention. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. It's so true. This is why I love doing meditation retreats, because you get the chance to pay attention. Yeah, look at this. This is like overwhelming, you guys. I can feel this in the collective. There's an overwhelm here. And I could speak to that for so many reasons of what's going on in the collective, on top of what we may have going on personally. But the 10 of Wands, I just got the 10 of Wands in case you're not watching. This is about completion. Something is completing this month. It really is. And it may be this you recognizing you can't keep carrying all of these sticks on your back. You have to release some of them. And maybe one of them is releasing your need to be understood, releasing your need for other people to validate your experience and your expression. Creative work in itself is life-giving. But one of the reasons why our expression is stifled in our lives is because there's so much energy expended in how it will be received. And that's not our job. All right. Any last minute messages that need to come through? But I just want to validate. I can sense that a lot of us are feeling tired and overwhelmed. But this is a completion process in some way. We've got 2 full moons this month, that's a lot of activation, a lot of release, a lot of completion. Let me just say one obstacle. Let's see what obstacle wants to come through for May. What is one obstacle? Oh my God, another Wands card, you guys. 9 of Wands. You guys, this is crazy. This is fast-moving stuff. And Taurus says, can we slow it down? Please, can we slow it down? 9 of Wands is tired. He's weary. But it's saying, can you just keep going a little bit longer? The obstacle is like you're not seeing how close you are to the finish line. You're getting too lost in the overwhelm. You need some perspective. We got a lot of Gemini energy this month. What is the opposite of Gemini? It's Sagittarius. Look at the big picture. Look at how far you've come. And this is just another gentle reminder as we're nearing the end of this video to look back to April. Look how much you achieved in April. 3 things that you did in April, no matter how small. And seeing your progress in that. And, that's just one last message. Don't be stingy with your emotions this month. This is the full moon card in Scorpio. Don't be stingy with your emotions this month. Allow yourself to open up, to give to one another without expectation. That's a lot of the 3740 channel. There's a lot of expectations there that can feel really heavy sometimes. Remember your innocence. Remember the innocence of the other. We're all trying our best here. We're all trying our best. The 6 of Cups is also about childhood, memories, the past. So once again, this retrieval energy is strong with Pluto going retrograde. Yeah. So once again, subscribe, like, share, follow me on Substack. As I said, I'll have this out on Substack with some dates on there as well. I'm currently running Creative Rewilding, but nothing is open for enrollment. But I have Inner Revolution, Creative Rewilding as well. Those are 2 group programs that are based in somatics, but very different from one another. So check that out if you're interested. I'll have my Thrive Through 2026. I'll put that link as well in the comments and down in the description if you're interested in this. Thanks so much for being here. Yeah. I hope you have a beautiful May. I'll see you next time.